IVM.
Hey, thanks for listening to us. And if you liked what you heard, you might enjoy Cyrus Says also on the IVM network, where Cyrus Brocha interviews interesting people from all walks of life in his signature style. That's Cyrus Says. Hey, you nerds, and welcome to another episode of the Geek Fruit Podcast. Not just any other episode. This is the 99th. What? Who knew that we would get this far?
It's 98th. I was going to say, but then I let Navin do it because he kills boners better than everyone else. Like,
that's true, man.
He does.
Happened last night.
Really?
Come on.
Well, okay, forget I said that. Let's move on quickly. So you've already heard their voices. I'm joined with Navin. Say hello.
Hi.
And Siddhant.
Yo, yo.
And I'm Jishnu. So, yeah. 98 episodes.
98
Who
episodes.
knew
98,
we
man.
would get this
Come
far?
on. What a great number 98 is.
Degrees.
Yeah.
Was a mediocre band.
Now move on.
Listen, 98 Degrees? Anybody?
No.
Nope.
The band?
No one is buying what you're selling, my friend.
Wait, are you not aware of 98 Degrees?
I'm aware.
Everyone's
Okay,
aware.
yeah.
I
But-
wish I wasn't.
Okay, cool.
Yeah.
All right, just want to make sure that we're all on the same page.
Moving on.
Okay,
Moving
fine.
on swiftly.
All right, before we get into this episode, we have some business to tend to. So speaking of 98 episodes, eventually you would imagine that we would reach 100 episodes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And on that day, it will be a day to remember in infamy. Tell them why, executive producer Navin.
Because Geek Fruit is going live.
Live.
What?
Yup.
What?
And it's happening at the Cuckoo Club Cafe on the 26th of November at 4 p.m., 4 to 6 p.m. It'll be live interaction, fun debates, games, merchandise, and a whole lot of that bull.
Yes,
to
sir. Yes, sir.
sell it.
So much bull.
You'll
Yes.
be able to see it live. # Beethoven's Tits live.
Yes, and we'll all be there in our full splendor.
Yep, all of us, including Naveen, by the way.
Yes.
I know he has the most fans. Y'all have not written in, but I can feel it from the other side.
Well,
of the screen.
speaking of the man with the most fans, he is not he is excluded from Alaka's latest
Rendition.
beautiful artist rendering of the world's best poster that I've ever seen.
Yep.
the greatest ever.
Yeah.
I think it's safe to say.
You can find this on all of our social media if you haven't already seen it. Siddhant, could you just explain what it is you see before you?
I see a purple and green poster, which is not Suicide Squad related. And it has the most amazing Geek Fruit team ever assembled.
Sans Naveen.
Sans Naveen. Because he's sort of, he's our god.
But-
so it's all happening. And it is our Geek Fruit live poster. The 100 episode live poster. Come on. I'm stoked.
It's
I'm
pretty
stoked
beautiful,
about
man.
that.
It's pretty.
It is. I'm very pleased.
Yeah.
I would argue though that even though your face is not on this, there is a # Beethoven's Tits on this.
There is.
Yep.
So
There is.
you could potentially be an animorph.
Yep.
Oh, I love those. It looks like it's got that animorph
It makes total
position.
sense, man. I always thought if I ever had to animorph, I would be a Saint Bernard.
Nice.
I did always think of it.
And you are on my back, so I guess
Yeah.
you got
Love
my
it.
back.
Yeah.
Right into the war.
You got Jishnu's back.
I appreciate it.
But then again, Bernards are big enough to ride on
Yeah.
their bikes. Like you can.
This
ride
is true.
me.
I could, yeah.
We could ride each other and go into war.
Wouldn't you like that? Oh,
This could go on.
Geek Fruit Live. Come on.
So
happening.
yeah, you can experience this nonsense in person and be trapped in a room with us for 90 odd minutes.
Yep. Fun.
Fun times. Where can they get tickets and all that ding dong?
So it's a free entry.
no
event.
tickets necessary.
If
Yeah,
you
so-
want, Jishnu will draw you a ticket.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Even chauffeur you
Yeah.
back and forth. Yeah.
If
I
you
can. I'm
live
willing
in
to do
the-
caricatures of every single person in the crowd.
Nice.
Yeah.
Great. You'll need a ticket for that, though. He's going to take a while to draw.
Yeah,
them
so the link will be live on Insider. So go and RSVP if you want to come for it. We have limited seating. Not that that will be an issue. So,
out. Just turn up any whole time at this point.
it's going to be musical chairs. I foresee a couple of
Yeah.
empty spots, so
yeah.
I'm just going to be
Try
dancing
and
around.
cosplay. It's a lot of
Yeah.
fun. It's
Well
not fun
then.
too much now.
But you're not wrong. Okay, so we have an episode to do.
Yes, we do.
We have work.
do.
We have work ahead of us in the form of two things we're going to be talking about: Stranger Things and Thor. It seems like the two biggest things everybody and their mom is talking about these days.
It's the biggest thing November 2017 has ever seen.
Pretty much.
Yeah.
Wait,
That's it.
did Stranger Things come out in November?
I'm going to say it did.
I want to say it came out in like...
No, it was October 27th.
I want to say, yeah, it came around near Halloween.
But does it count
It
as
does.
October?
It does because I watched it on October 27th.
Just back me up for once.
No.
Y'all's are haters. Anyway, point being, November's a fine time to talk about the final points of Stranger Things.
So let's talk about these
Look
final
at that.
points. I'm
That's
gonna
going
rein
up
this
on
back
my
in.
poster, guys.
I'm gonna rein this back in.
Yeah.
All right. So
Right.
to begin with, Naveen, give me your little take on Stranger Things. What did you think of it? You have seen the first season, yes?
I have.
Okay. So
And
what do you
I've
think of
seen
the second
season as well? What I believe happened is they got carried away. And while there were nods to certain films in the first season, here there were outright scenes and plots recreated from certain movies just to like ride that trip again, which we're going to talk about. But it became so apparent that they're not trying to rein in the outwardness of what they're trying to do, like because every scene is now another movie scene. I saw that playing out like that. For me, a lot of it was like already done, and nothing was coming on that was like really cool. And that one episode that entirely derailed for me for a second. That was a different issue I had with the show.
We're all talking about that same episode, yeah.
Yeah, but then like I came back to it and I didn't really like enjoy it as much as I did the first time around.
Okay.
So it's okay, it's fun.
Sure.
But
are you still with it? You're gonna watch season 3?
Not as excited. Like not like the way I watched this one. Like
Sure.
I binge watched the whole night. And I would not do that again.
Okay.
Probably.
Siddhant?
I really liked it. Yeah. I guess my approach to watching anything today is avoid everything to do with it and avoid chatter completely. And I didn't get pulled into the whole, this is some kind of... this has all happened before in various other franchises and movies and things like that. Like Naveen said, later on when people pointed out, hey, don't you realize that this happened before in this movie? And I'm like, yeah, but I didn't think of it till you brought it up. So is that a bad thing or a good thing? I don't know. Because when I watched it, it was fun.
Sure.
Yeah, there were a few like dead-end plots which I didn't really care for, or a few characters who were just filling up time. It lacked the cohesion of the first one. But then when you've built a world, you're expected to sort of build further upon it. You can't go back to having everyone together and just making it work like that.
Right.
There was still some really cult moments and some characters exploded in this season. I mean, Steve, for instance, is the new thing. I mean,
him and his hair.
And Dustin and all these. Some of these guys got major props,
right?
And we like them even more now because of that. So I would say that there were a few moments which weren't so exciting, and there were a few things which I found a bit puzzling. But overall, I really enjoyed it, and I'm excited about season 3. I think it'll be pretty cool.
So I'm leaning more towards what Siddhant had to say. I'm with you, Naveen, in that there was some things that were a bit belabored, and we'll get more into this because there's a lot of repetition, not only in Stranger Things, but I think just in general in the way of like the landscape of what people are buying into these days that I think is getting a little old, at least for me. But on that note, I wasn't all that excited, or I guess I wasn't as excited as I thought I would be leading up to the release of the show. I mean, I loved the first season, so you would think I'd be really excited, and I thought as well. But I mean, I was just kind of lost with just the amount of stuff coming out in this season right now. So like, I mean, like in terms of the TV season. So when I did start that very first episode, I was kind of like, okay, let's see how this goes. And then within 5 minutes, I was just like, I'm so glad I'm back in this universe, because the good thing about the Stranger Things verse, at least prior to this season coming out, was that I don't think it got hit over the head as much as a lot of things in the media these days. Like, people aren't really talking as actively about season 1, or at least they weren't talking about as actively about season 1 as, say, your MCU or DC or anything like that that's happening. And so it was a very welcome back for me. I will say, some characters really blossomed, like you said, Steve and Dustin.
Yeah.
But then, you're right. I mean, some people I thought, like Winona Ryder's character,
Nancy.
Nancy.
Big step back for Nancy.
Big step back in that they delivered fine, but they just weren't given enough to play with. I thought they
Yeah.
had a lot more going for them in the first
She
season.
did enough Nancy eyes.
Yeah, exactly,
Yeah.
exactly. But that's not to say that she was like a poor
then-
performance. I
but
think it
then
was just like the fact that
the
they
stuff, even in the previous season, the stuff given to Nancy to work on was
Sure. So
bare bones.
I think
And
it's more of the fact that they're focusing on the kids, or they're focusing on Steve, or they're focusing on 11 and David Harbour's character, that
Sure.
they had to sidestep somebody.
Yeah, in the first season, it was more like these older dudes are doing their thing, the younger
Yeah.
kids are doing their thing, and these teenagers have their
I
own
think
thing, and they all come together.
The
and have that.
constant theme in the first season was something that kids and adults worldwide love, which is the adults are lost in the newness of how crazy this all is and are refusing to grasp it. But the kids stepped up and
Yeah.
delivered.
Yeah.
And we loved it. And that's why we fell in love with this ensemble cast of kids. That's why they've won all the awards that they've won.
Absolutely.
You know, that's why they're getting the props that they get. And that's why they're so prevalent in pop culture. But the point is, that didn't happen this time. This time the kids seem to have like gotten a little too big for their boots and like wandered off, and not everything worked out. And the adults kind of stepped in and changed it. And I don't know if people really like the new formula as much. And that's why maybe it's not gotten the enthusiastic love or the sort of props that you'd expect, or what, you know, just generally what you wanted to see from Stranger Things was these kids front and center running the game. And then they've taken a bit of a sidestep here and tried something new, which might have come a little too soon.
So I think that the strongest thing about the show is, like, I think in general, this show has the strongest cast of most shows that I've seen.
There's not one character that I wanted thrown out.
Exactly,
or
yeah.
I-
Like,
but
no matter
this season,
how...
Winona Ryder had some ultra overacting scenes.
Absolutely,
She was
yes,
like-
I'm with
But
you.
that's
yes.
why they cast her. I
However,
think that's what the point is.
that character, I think, is just dealing with something that she just can't do anything with, and the fact that they haven't given her much else to handle. She's like, all I have to care about, all that matters is my son, and there's nothing else in the world. I'm like,
That's
that's
what
kind
she
of
did last
boring.
time.
That
That's
is what she did last time. So
yeah.
we're tired of
Yeah,
that.
she got
Yeah.
Sean Astin at least at this
Yeah.
Which
juncture.
who was balling.
I would do an entire episode on just Sean Astin.
Yeah.
Balling.
That one factor I will obviously agree with. Like, it's amazing.
There's
in the show.
nothing wrong with that man ever.
Yeah.
But no, what I'm getting at is I think that since the cast is so ridiculously strong, I overlook the fact. I'm only nitpicking. This is a very nitpicky fact. I think that I don't care that much about the Upside Down at all. Like, whatever happens in the Upside Down, like, okay, cool, yeah, there's some demon, there's some monster, yeah, it lays eggs, a bunch of 100 other
I
guys come out.
actually have
whatever.
a few questions about, like, just generally what's happening.
Yeah,
'cause
but the thing is,
I don't understand the effects of it
I
anymore.
don't particularly care, because what I really want to see, I just want to spend more time in this universe with these people. I just want to spend more time with the kids, see them grow up. I want to see them do that John Hughesy type of shenanigans.
You're right. That's
and
all
there
true.
happens to be demons. That's basically as far as I'm concerned. It's not like I want to find out more about.
That's what we all want. It's just that they showed us something, and now it's something different. And I think that's the problem with season 2 in general. Like, the cast is still amazing. The cast is still lovable. They still deliver every time they've been asked to. It's just that the shows just pivoted a little bit, and they didn't take us with them.
Yeah.
That's really what everyone's feeling.
The fact that there's an oversaturation of genres, I feel, at this point, because they're trying to blend body horror along with ghastly horror.
And if you remember the Upside Down from last season, it was physically the same place. It was a different plane, but the physical space was the same. Like the Upside Down,
you
was
were in
an
the same building,
absolute
but with
X-ray.
just
But this time, what is this like random burrow tunnel system?
Underground
where did the other Upside Down we were talking about go?
Right.
You know, why was there one character there at that time, and now where are these?
I'll tell you why.
like,
Because
you know,
in the last season, the biggest payoff was getting all the lights across the house to get them to glow, because the effect was like that. This time it wasn't tunnels. The whole house had to be a tunnel. So it all became like, the story beats had to play out, so they had to give it a trade-off by doing this.
No, that's fine. I get that from
Because
a writing perspective.
yeah.
What I'm saying is, this is a different Upside Down then.
Yeah.
Like, what happened to the one we were introduced to last time?
Exactly.
I thought we were going to continue from there. And that's the feeling I think a lot of people have with this season. It's like, I thought we were over here with this and these people, but now you're telling me we're over 75 degrees right.
It's surprising because the
not,
Duffer Brothers have like an entire thesis on it. They have
Exactly,
written a 30-page book on how the
Upside
Down
Down
works. And
But you need to if you're gonna venture into this kind of universe
So this
building.
is
You
like-
better have your textbook.
it's a big diversion from what we saw last time.
Exactly.
So, okay, so let's turn the page really quick to that one particular episode.
Which,
The one I
which
think
one are we speaking
the one I
of?
think everyone's going to be talking about. Episode 7,
The departure.
the 11's Day Out.
Yeah.
Let's
Oh
call it.
yes,
Yeah.
yes,
So
yes, yes.
that-
I have to say, I didn't hate it as much when I first saw it.
Okay.
It's just that
I
after
sense a
everyone
butt coming. What's the butt?
after everyone like pointed out a billion things to me,
Yeah.
and I really thought about it.
Yeah.
That's when I started thinking, maybe that wasn't so good. You
So
know?
the thing about that episode that annoys me, which it didn't really annoy me in the moment, because I'm kind of with you in that, like, as I was watching it, I was like, okay, fine. So this is your one sort of dark, brooding episode that 11 needs because she doesn't speak. So
This
she's
is the
stuck in a
only
room.
arc.
She's stuck in a room by herself with one person to talk to who's not there most of the time. So yeah, what's a girl going to do? She has to do something. So fine, give her one episode. Totally cool. Let her go out and venture out of Hawkins. All right, fine. I do love Hawkins, but I get it. Yes, it does exist in the real world. So we do need to see what the rest of the world is like. Fine. Cool. But it was a little too on the nose about clearly just establishing setups for the next season.
Yeah.
Because we introduce a whole group of new characters who are kind of cool. All right, fine. I get your nice little goth punk emo thing happening. Fine, that's great. But they literally
Runaway
came in.
Kids,
They
the
literally-
Warriors, come on. Like, it's
Chappie.
all there.
But the thing is, they literally came in
Warriors,
and came
come on and
out.
play. Like, it was there.
Yeah,
It was literally like you could go into the next alley, you'll find those kids.
Yeah,
you
it's
know?
like snapping the
Yeah,
fingers
yeah,
with the knives
exactly,
out.
yeah.
But they serve no purpose.
They didn't.
They serve no
didn't.
purpose
Yeah.
other than
But,
just
yeah.
giving us something else to think about. Because the next time we see 11 brooding and not saying anything, we're like, I think she's thinking about those things, as opposed to she's thinking about the other
See,
thing she's
you're
been
right.
thinking about.
Okay, you're right. And that's exactly what got pointed out eventually by other people when I was talking to them about the show.
Right.
But, and I don't know if you feel the same way, Jishnu, when I was watching it, it became the final, like, the point in the season where we see 11 actually, like, letting a lot of catharsis out. Like, she's dealing
Right.
payback upon these people that hurt her.
Yeah.
She found the other kindred spirit that she can lean on and say, you went through this with me, I'm not alone anymore.
Yeah.
And it was like satisfying to see that, because you think that, like, at least I felt like this girl has had so much stuff happen to her this whole time.
Yeah.
And she never gets to show it. All these kids or the adults are trying to protect her or put her in a box, but no one's really talking to her except for that other kid who's, what's that?
The one with the mohawk? The one that throws knives?
No, not the gang. The Hawkins
Mike.
gang. Mike.
Oh, Mike.
Yeah,
Oh,
yeah.
okay. Yeah,
I don't
yeah,
remember
yeah.
the name. No, so Mike basically is the only one who actually talks to her about her and what she felt and what she went through.
Right.
No one else does that.
Right.
And you keep thinking, like, how can this kid bottle so much stuff away?
Mm-hmm.
And then to see her, like, find her sister, quote unquote,
Sure.
like, go on this full revenge spree. And I'm like, yeah, I'm with you, man. I want to, like, take down these guys. If I had the power to, like, deal death upon the people that ruined my life,
Yeah.
so to speak, I would love to do that. So I was on that train the whole time. So in a way, I guess the episode made a little bit of sense, but maybe looking back now, like, wow, this was just maybe it was a bit of a setup per se, but at the same time, like, I'm glad this happened. At least that's what I was thinking.
Fair enough. Okay, so the last thing I say before we take a break is that I think that I really love the show simply because, like I said, I don't care that much about the Upside Down. Cool as it is, I don't mind it at all. But it's all about the kids and these people in small town USA just living their normal lives and being fun-loving people, and characters that you can really invest in, and then crazy shit happens and, hilarity and whatnot ensues. What I don't want to see happen in season 3, which is what was a little bit upsetting about that episode, is that the way that it's going, at least, is that it looks like it's going to be a team-up of the X-Men who are kids, which will be cute and funny, and, like, I'm sure it'll be hilarious, especially if those X-Men meet our kids in Hawkins and they see how that works together. But at the end of the day, it'll become the exact same thing we've been seeing for decades now. And what I liked so much, and I still love so much about the show, is that there's just a beautiful marriage of that John Hughesiness meets Spielbergian, like young Spielberg, like E.T. kind of stuff, of just innocence, told through the eyes of, like, really snarky, witty kids who are watching grow up. And I love that, I see a significant difference between the kids in season 2 and season 1 because they just physically
Also
are
grow up,
just older, and at that age, every single day makes a big difference. So what I'm just a little apprehensive about is that season 3 might fall into the same old story that we've seen a million times, and that's not what season 1 and season 2 are about. So the only saving grace, I hope, is that David Harbour has a lot more to do with it now, because season 2 ended with him essentially adopting Eleven, for whatever that means.
Pretty much, yeah.
So I'd love to see how that goes. If he's like the Oracle to her, or if he's like the Xavier to the kids, that could be really cool.
There is a theory floating around, though,
yeah?
that he did lose his daughter to the Hawkins lab testing on his daughter. Because she had cancer, and then probably they tried to help her out and something went down.
That would make a lot of sense.
Because there's theory around. So like,
Cool. I guess we'll have to see
that.
about that.
So I'll just put it this way. I'm excited about season 3. Are you guys excited?
I am.
As I said, like, not so much.
Not as much.
Yeah.
Cool. I hope the universe proves you wrong for the better. All right. Let's take a break, and when we come back, we're going to be talking about that Thor thing that people talk about.
In a world where people are busy playing Mendicoat at Diwali parties, two men decide to go all in the river.
Don't you mean on the river?
On the river.
Oh, yeah.
Two men will go where no one has ever gone before, to a studio with no air conditioning or Coke Zero, to talk about poker.
Hey, order lo na yaar koi, kya hai ye bakwas?
The SpartanPoker.com presents Mera Kaam Poker, hosted by Azim Banatwala
The best comedian in the world, according to himself.
and Peter Abraham.
Not related to John.
New episodes out every Wednesday on the IBM podcast app or any other podcasting app you use. And for all our listeners who want to try out their hand at poker, you can log on to thespartanpoker.com, register yourself as a user with the promo code IVM, and you will get 200 bonus cash, which you can use to play poker for free. See you at the tables.
Hey, we're back with the Geek Fruit Podcast, and I'm here with Navin and Siddhant, and we are now talking about Thor Ragnarok and roll.
Yes.
Hit me.
A lot of fun.
Yeah?
Just a lot of fun. I haven't seen something this colorful in the Thor universe in general. That's why a lot of great character work, a lot of funny one-liners. Like, you know, that lift conversation between Loki and Thor is just like, that was the highlight of the whole movie for me.
Oh, wow.
Because they're just like standing and talking, but they are carrying the entire scene on their own. And then like he's in the end like, let's do help me, I'm dying or something like that.
Yeah, that was awesome.
great.
Yeah, and then
great.
there's so if you see other work by Taika Waititi, you know, like he has specialty in humor. He's got his very off-brand humor, and that shines through so beautifully in this movie. And like, there's not even, but for example, even Hela is like, she's established as this badass, very evil character. But then even then, she has like a dialogue where she like does a monologue, and the warrior three are standing in front of her, and only I think one guy was standing in front of her, and she's like, I've monologued so much. What did I just like blabber about for 10 minutes? Did you not hear me? So I think there's humor in the most intense scenes as well, which is nice. Which is good to like balance that out sometimes. And that is the Marvel universe we've come to know, and it's glad. It's a good time to bring Thor into that kind of fold, you know, from making it so much Shakespearean to now giving it like a lighter feel.
Siddhant?
Okay, so let's get the geeky elements out of the way.
Yeah, I'm very curious.
Okay,
To
so
see what you think.
the storyline blends here widely are
Yeah.
Planet Hulk, Sakaar,
Yeah.
the probably one of the darkest sort of Hulk storylines in the last decade or so. You have sort of Thor Ragnarok, the original storyline. And then you have the Marvel Universe twist on the whole thing, which is now some sort of patented super move, which is basically take two storylines, extremely dark, extremely difficult, lots of loss on both sides, and it's difficult. And then suddenly put it in the hands of Taika Waititi and the MCU puppeteers. Everything jumbles up, comes out, the beautiful Bifrost bridge of just happiness, basically, comes straight through. And masterful. I mean, at this point, we are almost at this level where we're waiting for this franchise to slip up.
Yeah.
And Marvel movies to unravel. Because it's like an impending drop. We all expect something to come along and ruin the whole thing.
Right.
They're just one step ahead of us right now. And this movie, as usual, I was hammered when I went to watch it. Because that's what I do for these movies. And it was a complete. My mouth was open like throughout.
Was it on IMAX?
Yeah, and I was just
Amazing.
cut. I was like, "What is happening? I should not have had this much to drink," And it was just so funny. It was so fast. There's so much that I missed in a way because it was what he does so well. The director is. The joke is really not even in focus sometimes. It's off camera.
Yeah.
It's behind the guys. The whole the actors in the play in Asgard.
Yeah.
I missed it. Like I saw the
what?
characters. I was like, wow, this is great. And then because I kept focusing on Anthony Hopkins and I wonder what he's going to say to his son now. And the Easter egg. Like it was great. And that's the movie, man. I mean, it was just so much fun. Like they flipped so much stuff on their heads with like stuff like Revengers and things like that. Like these are all really depressingly dark concepts. Sakar is a horrible place, but they've turned it into some kind of, it's like a big city in America that is only focused on its sports team. That's the vibe I got from it.
City, basically.
Exactly, yeah. And it's like 50 times that. And the best for last, I mean, for me, it has to be the Valkyrie. Where does that even come from? And my favorite actress of all time is in it.
Yeah.
I mean, Jishnu, I would straight up kill you if I could have like her forever in my life.
Well,
I'm sorry. I would
is he
drop
standing
you.
in your way or something?
Am I
preventing that from happening?
If someone asked me, stab Jishnu in the heart and you can have Tessa Thompson
I feel like if somebody asked you to stab me in the heart, regardless of what the end of that sentence was.
No, man, it's got to be worth it. I don't want to stab you because, it's a lot of work for me.
Do you know this actress called Esha Gupta? She looks a lot like Tessa Thompson. Yeah.
Really?
I'll just Google her.
I mean, it's close, but not hashtag same guy close. I mean, it has to be. I want you to like bring it up on screen like a computer technician. I mean, like same to same. Put one top of the other.
She does have that, like, see.
Like,
does she not?
Yeah, okay, I see it. Sure. Yes, I'll give you a 8 on 10 for facial match.
I'm not feeling it. I'm not feeling it.
So you wouldn't kill me for her?
No, I would not.
Okay, fine, just checking. Would you just flesh wound me or something?
No, it's fine.
Oh wow, so not even not even a paper cut.
No, it's okay.
Cool.
Your blood is worth more than that.
Okay, I've stumbled upon some very raunchy stuff.
Yeah.
Oh wow.
Let's
well
trust
done.
Google image search.
I mean, we're just good at this point. But yeah, that's it in a nutshell.
Okay.
Like, what a great movie.
So I'm gonna try really hard not to sound like a grumpy old man.
He's gonna do it, guys.
Oh, man.
He's gonna.
I don't know.
He's gonna do it.
Yeah,
Naveen,
man.
did you see this coming? I thought he'd be high on this.
No,
Really?
I was watching the expression from the moment I started speaking.
Yeah.
He was a bit quiet.
It's
He was a
going
bit
downhill,
quiet.
yeah. It's going
downhill.
Here we go.
I'm not hating on the movie. I can't hate on the movie because it was such a fun watch. You're absolutely right. I just wanted more.
There it is.
I wanted more.
There it is.
I just hold them at a higher standard now. Like Civil War ruined it for me.
Was it not enough Goldblum for you in this movie?
No, that wasn't the problem at all. My problem was just with the biggest problem was that the two main storylines being the Planet Hulk thing and Sakaar and then Ragnarok. Ragnarok starts the movie and Ragnarok ends the movie, right? But in between is the best part. Obviously, the Sakaar stuff is what we really want to see, and that is just great. All the laughs are there, all the action's there. But what was really disappointing was that the movie begins with Ragnarok, and he defeats the demon, and all that's cool. But then, at the end of the film, when they're like, we have nothing left, we can't defeat this person, I've already lost an eye, I've gone full lightning on everybody, like, I'm done. I've no ace in the hole. Oh, wait a minute. Remember how 2 hours ago I conveniently defeated a demon that is just like lying around? Let me bring him back. And then just use that to do it. So like there was the Ragnarok story and the Sakaar story, and there were two completely different films. And Hela had Scourge, and I'm glad that, Waititi he's not an idiot at all. So like he made it a point to bring out the fact that, when she's monologuing at this random dude, and, like you said, that's a really good joke when she says, I've just been talking to you for 10 minutes.
Yeah.
She has nobody else to talk to. So Scourge was just sort of one of the biggest throwaway characters I've ever seen because he had nothing to do with anything. So like when he dies at the end, I was like, yes, this is a great homage to the comic. Like it looks beautiful, but like you're pointless. Like I don't feel any sympathy for you because you haven't done anything. And Hela, again, she's really cool. Kate Blanchett is amazing in it, but it was so segregated from the Sakaar story. So like as Thor is doing his Sakaar thing with Hulk and all that, Valkyrie and all that's really cool, oh, by the way, let's go back and just check on Asgard. Oh, wait a minute. Hela's there. Oh, right, we have to fight her. Oh, right, we can't. But wait a minute. Remember, like, again, 2 hours ago, I defeated a demon. Let me just bring that demon back. It was very disjointed. It was a lot of fun. It was tons of fun. I'm not saying that was a bad movie in the slightest, but the only reason I was a little disappointed was because Civil War, again, is my, like, gold standard now for just storytelling in general, of just, like, bringing together multiple story arcs together. The fact that Marvel was able to pull that off, and I appreciate that the Russo brothers are nothing like Taika Waititi. The fact that they managed to do that so beautifully, it was like watching a freaking like ballet dance. It was amazing. Then this one didn't have that many characters, didn't have too many storylines. It just had 2 main plots for the most part. But they were so disjointed. And I think that the funness of it was sort of an excuse to say, well, the plot doesn't matter so much. We're having a good time. And he's absolutely right. It's a great movie. I had a great time watching it. But I'm just being super nitpicky because now, like, look, you've been doing this for, like, whatever, 18 movies or some shit like that. Like, you can do better because you have done better. And, look, we've seen it time and time again. So I don't want to say that it was a bad movie at all. I'm just saying that it had some deep flaws in it, which I think are only forgivable because the humor and the fun and the action was just so good.
I think...
End scene.
I mean, yeah, okay. No, I see what you're saying, but I guess it's just a perspective thing in a way, because what
Completely.
What is key here is what you see as disjointed, I see as, well, their stories running in parallel, effectively.
And that was happened a lot in the comic books as well as the cartoons as well.
And they're both extremely fantastic worlds. So they're miles apart, not just physically, but like in their language also. Like there's Asgard, sort of mythical tech place, and literally some planet in space with this crazy kooky character called the Grandmaster. Like, you know, you have 2 very different concepts. It's diluting them both to really seamlessly combine them, I think. You literally have to jump from one to the other because you can't sort of carry those things over to each other. Like, the Grandmaster and Hela cannot have the same sort of... They don't have like
coolness.
Exactly, and they can't combine together exactly because they both have like different
that's what happened
objectives.
to me. I was watching the movie and I'm like, okay, we're on Sakaar. I wonder what's happening in Asgard, and we go to Asgard. And then at least we have Heimdall kicking ass because we finally got to see
Heimdall doing something.
Yeah, doing something. Which was great for his change. So he was on it. So that was good for me.
But I will say the one thing that I'll stand by is that, like you said, the humor was great in that, like, it wasn't. I can't say it wasn't in your face because it was all over the place, but it was like you said, it was like in the back of the scene. It wasn't really the main focus or whatever. That's what it sort of sidestepped everything, which is really great. Except I thought that I'll give you 2 examples.
Okay.
The best laugh I think was Hulk, or rather Mark Ruffalo jumping off the ship and then like falling face first into the Rainbow Bridge. That was great, right? But that was to sidestep the fact that here comes the big hero moment that we all know is going to happen. We've seen a million times. Oh, wait, no, it's not the big hero moment. Isn't that funny? Great. Hilarious. However, there were quite a few moments where the humor sidestepped really poignant, dramatic moments that needed, I think, a lot more attention. For instance, the one that I just can't really get over is end of the film, Asgard's destroyed. They're sitting in a ship watching their home world that these guys have lived on for probably thousands of years, right? Every second sentence that Thor says is, I am Thor of Asgard, I am Odin's son, I am this, I am that. He's so proud of it, right? Like, his entire arc for the first couple of films that he was in is just all about, like, forget about Earth. I'm here for Asgard. I'm here for Asgard. I don't care about what happens on Earth. I'm here for Asgard. Asgard blows up in front of his face. They pause for 5 seconds. Korg says a funny one-liner. Cool. It's funny. And then cut. All right, move on. We have now moved to the next scene. Like, so are we not taking a second to appreciate the fact that your homeworld has died and you're watching it and you were the one that did it? So I get that, he's fulfilling the prophecy, so it makes sense. But like,
okay, Jishnu,
the brevity of it.
Crying with one eye would be very painful.
It'd be weird.
He's trying to cry and the salt burning his own wound.
Exactly. No, and then that's the thing, right? I mean, you can't change gears like that. You've sort of put the tone of this movie as like funny off the bat.
Right.
Okay. You can't, I don't think it's in the nature of this movie to suddenly flip serious.
I'll put it like this.
The
very first scene.
I mean, I would not buy that.
Okay,
I would buy the glibness.
Yeah,
I wouldn't
yeah.
buy that, oh, suddenly we're serious. Like, I don't see that
Okay.
being useful.
I knew
Like,
I
tonally
knew
it's
what my
weird.
sentiments would be about this movie within the first 30 seconds.
Okay.
When he's dangling from that chain and he's
Yeah.
spinning around,
Yeah.
spins once, makes that joke about, oh wait, my back is turned to you. Spins twice, my back is turned to you. Spins 3 times. He was hitting us over the head with that same joke. I was like, I know exactly where this movie is going to go. And it was exactly what was going
That's
to
the
go.
rule
Which
of
is just
three in
like,
comedy in general.
yeah, but I mean, the thing is, like, you can't do it 3 times in the first 30 seconds. Like, hit me with the same joke 3 times again and again when there's nothing else established. I'm just like looking at a dude talking to another guy, and you've got me with the same gag. I saw like exactly where the trajectory was, and I mean, I'm not saying it was wrong or anything, but I knew that wasn't the flavor for me.
But for a
Because
change, this universe is not taking itself too seriously. Like,
absolutely, which
Yeah.
is
Which
great.
is a
I mean,
great change. Because even
I'm-
before, we've had like his mother die and nobody gave a shit about that either.
Exactly,
They were
yeah.
just like, okay, but we're two, like, father and sons are more important than the woman. In a way, it
Yeah.
was sexist as well.
Yeah.
But now we have a strong female character running the roost, and she's
Yeah,
actually
yeah.
out there. And all the ladies in the movie get very strong. Like, even Valkyrie is so badass.
yeah.
That,
Yeah.
that scene where she's landing along with the other Valkyries, it's picturesque. I want a poster of that in my house.
Exactly. It's beautiful.
It's beautiful.
And that's the other thing. I think this movie is also a bit reactionary.
Yeah.
Because, and I've been talking to some of my other friends about this as well. Every time DC turns a little darker, Marvel gets a little funnier.
Yeah.
They just see it. They see that and they go, okay, course correct. We're going to pick up all the people they alienated here by going even brighter, even lighter. They did not anticipate, and I'm going to say this, let anyone in Marvel try and shoot this down. No one's going to buy it. They did not anticipate making Thor funny. They did not anticipate making a Thor Hulk buddy movie. They did not anticipate doing any of these, like, sort of making Guardians of the Galaxy this out there funny and crazy. Like, it was never going to be the case. And they just keep doing that now because tonally they're seeing that their biggest competitor is failing with and going down with this one sort of type of movie.
Sordid.
This sordid, dark, inward, broody, inward looking thing. And they refuse to take that path in any way, shape, or form. So it is a little bit reactionary. I see the merit in that sort of thinking, but I think it's almost a commercial decision to the end, like to the T, because they want to project themselves as, look, we're Marvel, Disney, we're super fun. Everyone can come watch our movies. There's a joke for everybody. And we're not going to take ourselves too seriously. We're not going to cater to just the comic book nerds anymore. That question is now
Yeah.
going to be dropped.
that's the one
We're
thing that
not
Tej and
gonna-
I were talking about extensively. He was like, I gave him my spiel, and like I think he agreed with some of it, and
Yeah.
he was like, yeah, you're right, but
We'll see about that.
they're not making these movies for us anymore.
They're not.
Like, they're really not.
No,
These are popcorn movies to
because
sell.
we
And I was like,
started
yeah.
watching them when we were 18.
Yeah.
You and me are not 18 anymore.
Right.
And Marvel's not one movie in anymore.
Yeah.
So it's clear that we've all changed. And we were never going to grow with them. We're not the demographic. But
Yeah.
and we still are. So that's something to think about. And that's something that happened.
Well, so to that end of your theory with the DC versus Marvel reactionary thing, I mean, Justice League is coming out in a matter of a day from now.
Yeah, we'll get drunk again and watch that.
So we'll see.
I think for that I'll need the alcohol.
Yeah, you need the alcohol.
But so we'll see how course correction works for DC. Like maybe they wised up because I mean that's the story.
That's what the initial
I
reactions
think
are,
I would
right?
love to see the disaster artist version of the making of Justice League.
Or
'Cause-
Batman
No,
was
no. Can you
I
imagine,
would want. I
like,
want to
see,
see
like-
I want to see the disaster artist version of Superman versus Batman. That's the one you want to
Yeah,
see.
exactly.
Sure.
Yeah, BVS, Batman versus Superman.
But I mean, like this one had like cast changes. This one had director changes. This had like people.
But that was kind of
No, but
tragic, dude.
that's
I mean,
panic. That's panic setting. in.
Exactly. Yeah.
And Zack Snyder
It's a
still,
reality
like, stuck
show.
around even
Yeah.
though his daughter lost his life, dude. That was
Yeah.
like kind of
Yeah.
hard on him.
More than a little.
Yeah.
But so to that end as well, speaking of Disney and them sort of, mapping out how they want to play things, I was very surprised at how open they were at admitting that 80% of Ragnarok was improvised. And Waititi constantly in interviews is bigging up,
keeps saying
talking
that.
about like the Blu-ray, which will have all these improv scenes. He's not even going to fit all of them because apparently so many. On the flip side, however, it's a Disney company, right? Star Wars had the exact same thing happen with
The Han Solo
the Han
movie.
Solo films
Yeah.
and the Reed and Taylor.
Uh,
Not Reed and
no,
Taylor.
no.
I always think Reed
Lord
and Taylor.
and Miller.
Lord Miller.
I always think
Reed
of the
and
suit.
Taylor.
I always think of the
Yeah,
suit
I'm
company.
like, what is-
Just you just
Lord
think
and
of
Miller?
slow-mo half turn. Reed and Taylor.
Lord and Miller always sounds like Reed and Taylor to
Yeah.
me in my head. Anyway, but so yeah,
And they had
those
a problem
guys,
with that, yeah.
they got fired because they were improving too much. But on the flip side, Marvel was making a 80% improv movie.
Yeah.
So it's interesting to think of like how they treat
but
the other, you know.
Star Wars, while it does have its showrunners now, they're only one movie in. Again, it harkens back to that. Now,
Right.
Kevin Feige is like, I have seen everything we can possibly do.
Right.
I even made a goddamn heist movie
Yeah.
with Ant-Man. I mean, I've done every kind of movie. Trust me, I got this. And you know, it happened. It worked out.
Cool. Well, let's take a break and then we'll come back with final thoughts on all of the above.
We're from the Daily Pow, a Bombay-specific food and culture website, and we have a weekly podcast called The Podcast.
That's pow with an O, not with a V.
Why is it with an O and not with a V when most people spell pow with a V?
Because it's pow, not powerful.
And you know some people also spell it with a U.
Like
P-
pow,
Pow,
like feet.
yeah.
Like pow lagu.
Yeah, like Paula. So weird. To listen to more of us and what we have to say about the city and its culture and its food, listen to the podcast every week on IVM Podcasts.
Hey, we're back on the Geek Fruit Podcast. So the topic of the day basically is that nostalgia, for me at least, is the most in-your-face thing that people are selling these days. Big tentpole films are all about tugging on those heartstrings because I think people have realized that, you know, the kids from the 80s and early 90s are the ones making these movies. And so I would just imagine, you know, if you gave me one of my favorite characters that I was playing with, you know, action figures when I was 7, 8 years old, and you told me 20 years from now you can bring this character to life and play with them and make them, you know, fight Hulk and Thor together and, you know, whatever you want. It doesn't surprise me at all that these, you know, 30, 40-year-olds who are making these movies are bringing in a whole lot of stuff that made them really happy as kids. So the interesting thing about Ragnarok and the way it came out was that when the trailer dropped, it was right around the release of Guardians 2. And Guardians 2, no secret, is, I would argue, the most 80s influenced anything that we've seen in the last couple of
soundtrack
years.
is just that.
Yeah, exactly, right? And I love those films, and I was just as hyped about Ragnarok as anybody else. But I think the trailer, at least the first one of like 50 different marketing materials that they had for this movie, was far more 80s driven than the final product actually was. And I think that tells you a lot just about what people know, what Marvel and Disney know people will buy into. Because once your butt's in the seat, that's when you're in the hands of the filmmaker. A marketeer can package anything and like twist anything to make it sound more appealing or whatever. You know, like BVS, for example, looked really badass, but
Same with Blade Runner as well, right? Marketed entirely differently.
Yeah, marketed entirely differently because that's the one movie that I think has never gotten more respect in its release because they just straight up said, don't say shit. People buy it because it's Blade Runner. People will go watch our namesake. They were
But then, you know,
wrong.
that
They were wrong.
They were wrong.
completely
But
backfired.
I am so happy.
Yeah.
I am so happy because I am like the 1% that saw it, and that 1% I can tell you is very happy with the product because
we'll cherish it.
it was treated with the respect it deserved. Not everything is allowed that privilege. But so
It's exactly what happened with the first one.
Yeah,
Like,
yeah, it
second
seems to be
Pretty much.
repeating itself
It's
at
repeating
this
itself.
point.
It's repeating
Yeah.
itself. But so
It's
yeah, so
replicating
Thor
itself.
wasn't the same. Stranger Things is obviously all about the 80s. I just wonder how long they'll keep this up for.
Did you guys watch the last season of South Park before this season?
No.
19th one.
No, 21.
No.
Number 21.
Oh, shit, they just run around too fast.
Yeah, they're going crazy. I love South Park. They're still on it. They're still winning. But basically, the season started with J.J. Abrams was called in to redo the American national anthem because that Colin Kaepernick kneeled to it.
Right.
So they were like, no, we have to do something about this. And then it set off a whole chain of events. But basically, they introduced in this concept of member berries, which are these like tiny little berries that just it's such a weird concept, but they basically just tell you about cool stuff that used to happen
I remember.
back in the day.
I remember.
Remember Chewbacca, the
Yeah.
Wookiee, because it was like what Stone and Parker were trying to do was like say, so J.J. Abrams can come back and remake anything, and we're just going to have to like it because we remember it in a certain way, and we're watching it like that.
Right.
We're watching it in that expectation, hoping to feel the same feelings and do the same things. And as long as it has that sort of acclaimed stamp of approval, nostalgia will cure everything. Because it's two things. It's a public that has become extremely demanding, and a studio system that is making more and more expensive movies that cannot fail. And what we're getting is a very narrow scope within which things are operating. And that's what's happening right now with these big ticket movies. So when they find a sweet spot, they're going to go all in to sort of max out the sweet spot. This is just a theory that I have. But with stuff like Guardians of the Galaxy, that awesome Volume 1 mixtape, Baywatch, the
Super
movie
8.
Super 8, you name it, all that nostalgia-tinged stuff that we were all just dying and waiting to like just have a taste of it again.
With lens flare.
With lens flare. Or you need that lens flare. You look at it all and you go, this is the most comfortable blanket I ever had.
Right.
Nothing can be bad with this. Nothing can go wrong with this. And that's what they're going to try and put onto like everything. They want you to handle their stuff with kid gloves because they've painted it with nostalgia now. So you can't hate it.
Yeah.
So if you put the 80s influenced soundtrack as your trailer soundtrack, well, I hate it less now because I have to, because I've been conditioned to do so. And this is the sweet spot of today. Like, we're supposed to enjoy this experience because it's comfortable.
But I don't entirely mind it because I believe the 80s, when they happened worldwide, they were kind of like, it was happening and nobody really noticed it because we were just like, technology was running ahead of us and we had to catch up. So the 90s happened.
It's also a generation that was like people looked back in the 90s and the early 2000s and the 80s and said that was trash. Nothing good came out of the 80s.
But it was not entirely true. There was a lot of great art happened, a lot of obscure designs came into being. Like,
but
the
then
whole conversation changed in terms of...
You look at 80s music, the so-called retro.
Yeah.
It was all like new wave, synth pop.
Yeah.
I
personally
hated on it.
Let's back
hated
up.
on
No,
that stuff.
It's very relative. Like, I love 80s music.
Yeah.
It just depends. It just depends on your flavor.
We live in Bombay, man. There's a difference. Like,
What?
Because all our parents are like, they made us grow up listening to that stuff. It's not like we grew up listening to disco or something like that. We grew up listening to like late disco, early 80s.
Also because all the bars have neon lights.
That and all the, even when we were going out as kids, the music we listened to at said bars were not like latest music. It was all this stuff. It was,
It was mostly Jimmy.
Yeah, stuff like that. Like, it was just retro pop of that time. So we are a different case because we grew up like listening to this music. So it's extremely comfortable for us because you play an 80s song today in a room full of people aged 22 to 30. It's infallible. Like, we're all going to love it.
Right.
There's no way around that. Other people maybe will not see it the same way.
Other people being younger?
Younger and much older.
Right.
The ones that literally grew up in the 80s when India was shit. I mean, there was nothing but like crappy cassette tapes.
That's the weird thing, right?
That's
because
the thing. Yeah,
they're marketing in India all around with like billboards and stuff, and marketing 80s. When India never got the 80s in the 80s, we got it in the 90s. We're like a latent thing that came to us much later.
And that's what I agreed with. Like,
and this had an auntie in America who was getting cool shit for you.
Cool stuff. And then you were that cool kid though.
Yeah.
And this is the problem I have with these generational tags like millennial and stuff like that. And how interchangeably we're using it on ourselves.
Yeah.
Like, a millennial is an American tag. Like, we don't call our grandparents the greatest generation, right? We don't call our parents baby boomers or Gen X or any of that stuff. Because they're not. We never had those events. How can we be millennials when we had dial-up? Millennial, the first definition of that is like if you grew up with broadband. No, if you grew up with broadband, literally is the thing. So stuff like that, that's why we also have this point of view where we understand and love the 80s from that music point of view, or the thematic sense that they use it in the promos for movies such as Guardians of the Galaxy, Thor, or Stranger Things. Because Stranger Things anyway is a period piece, so maybe we can discount them from this because it's based in that time.
Sure.
And maybe they picked it because it was easiest
Same with
for
Stephen
them.
King's It this time around.
Yeah.
They played on the 80s factor very hard.
Exactly, because people are already there.
Yeah.
You know, you don't have to move an entire audience from that now. We're already there, we're already feeling it,
Yeah.
let's go with it. And here in India, we have that. We know idealistically what the 80s were like, but the 80s were kind of different. You know, and they were kind of the 90s. So it's all a bit different for us. And I think that's the same case around the world. And you're right, the fatigue will start to set in. That's what the member berries thing was all about. Like, it showed that people were not reacting to what's actually happening around them, but they were getting placated by eating these member berries who were just telling them, remember when this happened, remember when that
Remember
happened.
Jabba?
So you're saying,
remember
Stone
Tatooine.
and Parker are basically Nostradamus, and they're
No,
predicting
they're the most reactionary of all people.
Of course.
Yeah.
The most. It's just that they eviscerate culture. They don't critique it.
Thursday to Thursday.
Yeah,
That's
they
how
just
they work.
they just come at you with everything, and that's what happens. You know, that's what happens when you do stuff like this. When you encapsulate the 80s into a neat package which can envelop gently and like provide the softest bump for anything that could be wrong with the movie or wrong with the TV show. And people are going to eventually go, hey, I don't know about this anymore.
Bring the mullets back.
Yeah.
That's
yeah.
what you want.
Bring back all the other dark
More
shit of the
And the
80s.
giant phones with the antenna. For 10 years from now, 90s will be happening.
Yeah,
For all
exactly.
you know.
Yeah, definitely.
It's all
basically
beige
how it
shoots
works.
and-
Yeah.
You're gonna have the Backstreet Boys on every soundtrack.
Yeah. And
Not long.
Boyzone and
98
NSYNC.
degrees. See how we bring this full circle, people?
Nice.
We are
God.
professionals.
Nice.
So to that end, thank you so much for listening.
Ba, ba, ba.
We should plug that live thing we're doing. Naveen, tell them.
Once
about the
again,
stuff.
26th of November, 4 p.m., Cuckoo Club. Be there, get your asses, and we'll have Beethoven's tits as well over there.
Beethoven's tits.
The
Hashtag
dog as well as
the
the tits.
god Beethoven. Come on.
If you don't know what Beethoven's tits are,
You will soon.
there's no guarantee.
I don't know.
I mean,
I'm going to find a way to bring it up.
Well, duh.
Yeah.
I don't know how it came up in the first place, but I'm not upset about it.
Naveen's going to tell us how live. That's a
Cool.
homework
Bunch of
assignment, Naveen.
Episodes.
Yeah.
So anyway, if you're in Bombay, Cuckoo Club 26th, hope to see you there, 4 p.m.
Free entry.
Free entry. And if you want to write to us, you can email us at contactgeekfruit@gmail.com. You can go to our website at geekfruit.in. You can follow Naveen on the onlines at...
No_Rona.
You can follow Siddhant on the onlines at...
Siddhant_Mehta on Twitter.
And you can follow me at Jishnu Guha. Ha, I said at. You can listen to all of this in person. Sometimes we say smart things, but, not often.
By the way, you can follow everything else at Geek Fruit HQ.
Nice.
Come on.
He used
on.
to be our producer. this
Back
man.
with the assist.
Thank you so
Yeah.
much. Anyway, cool. We're done. Goodbye, you nerds.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. This is your captain speaking. Sorry to say, but there's been a slight delay due to the apocalypse having suddenly begun. As you can see, there's death, destruction, and chaos taking place all around us. But don't you worry, food and drinks will be served shortly, and I would recommend checking out
IVM Podcasts.
to get some of your favorite Indian podcasts. We'll keep you going till this whole thing blows over. Thank you.